Hi everyone, I hope you guys are all well. It's a bit gloomy in here in England. Sorry if the lighting's a bit darker. It looks like it's going to absolutely chuck it down out there. It's quite thunderous clouds and all that lot. Um, but yeah, anyway, enough about the weather. You may have seen, I don't know if you guys know, but I absolutely love the Cheltenham Literary Festival, and they've announced who's going to be coming, and I'm so happy for that. Tickets go on sale next week for members, which I am a member, so I'm really excited. And of course, I'm really excited to find out what the 100th book is I'm going to be reviewing on this channel. I can't believe I've reached 100 books. That's insane. But that'll be on a separate video. I've got some new books as well, which I'll be showing on that video too. But anyway, enough about that. It's time to talk about the book I've been reading for the past couple of weeks. Well, technically it's actually only been a couple of days, but because I've been so busy with work and everything else, I just haven't had a chance to read. So I've picked up this book, and I've been so engrossed in it, it's only taken a couple of days to read. And that is Anne Frank Remembered by Meip, Gies and Alison Gold. Now, Meip was one of the Anne Frank family helpers. She was the main helper. She was the one who bought their food and everything, and she worked in the office where Anne, her family, and also the rest of the people in hiding, the various families and such who came in and hid with them. Meip was their main helper, and this book is not only about her time in being a helper and such, and what Amsterdam was like in the war and everything. This is actually her life story from her point of view. So the actual hiding itself doesn't happen until about a third of the way into the book. So there is, a lot of information about Meip's life and her, her early life and everything. And I really loved that. There was something the thing is, I suppose, with the umbrella of Anne Frank and her family and the hiding and all that lot, it would be very easy for publishers to go, no, we're only interested in the period in which you were helping them with hiding, and that's it. But they haven't done that. Alison Gold, who is the other author of this, she convinced Meip to write her story, and you can tell very much that these truly are Meip's words. When I say that, what I mean is that if you watch interviews that she gave before she passed away, the way that she talks, I heard her voice throughout reading this book, and things that she said specifically, I've heard her say before, word for word. It's not somebody's voice, and you can tell that somebody else has flowered the language a bit more to make it better, or make the flow better, or something like that. You can tell this is Meip. It's not Meip's words being interpreted by somebody else. So that's what I'm trying to convey. Sorry if that didn't make much sense, but it very much, you knew it was Meip, or at least I certainly knew it was. I really respect Meip, who sadly has passed away now, that she wrote what she wrote. And what I mean by that is that there are things that she talks about, things that you can tell she's holding back on. She tells you dark stuff. She also tells you very light stuff. She doesn't like to to stop you from understanding, but you can tell that she is still emotional about certain things. And there's a big section near the end where Otto's come back, Anne's father, and found that all his family had been killed, and everybody else who was hiding with them has been killed. And he's trying to encourage Meip to read the diary, and she won't do it. She can't go there. She just can't do it. And I kind of felt that way when she was talking about the war and certain aspects, that there is some level of darkness there that she cannot go to. And I completely understand that, and I completely respect her from holding back things that she may not be able to, well, at the time, should I say, when she was writing it, may not be able to go to. Her husband Jan, who is featured quite heavily in this book, is there's this whole section where he talks about how he's actually working in with an underground group, a resistance group, and she didn't find out until he was 6 months into it. And long after the war, when their son had grown up, and both she and their son Paul were asking him about the resistance group and what he actually did, and he kept on saying another day, and he actually died before they were able to get any information out of him about what he had been doing for the whole time of the war in this resistance group. So it's not just her, and she talks about other people who have been through the war and things that they had written to her to say about after the diary was published, as well as to Otto, and even Saturday and Sunday morning coffee sessions that Otto had with friends, people, other Jews that survived the Holocaust, and the things that they said. She talks about it, but she doesn't obviously go into details and such, because she can't. I can never imagine what that time was like. Of course, I can only read or read books or watch documentaries and try to imagine, but trying to imagine is not the same as the reality. And I totally understand if she wasn't able to go there again. But one thing I absolutely love and respect her for doing is that in this book she talks about Anne and all the family members as she saw them, as she came into contact with them, and by that I mean you can have a scene where she's a section of a chapter where she's talking about the family and how they're there and the conversations that they're having, and then they won't appear for a couple of chapters or something, because she's talking about her and her husband hiding somebody at their house, and things that they went through and trying to find food and such. So just as in Anne's diary, you have these kind of quite long sections where Meip and the other family helpers may not be referred to. If from Meip's perspective, there may be quite long sections of her book where Anne and the Franks and everybody else who was in hiding with them are not referred to. That doesn't mean, obviously, that he didn't see them, because they both talk about in their diaries and in Meip's book how they see each other every day, multiple times a day. But there's just, so much that you can get to without becoming boring, saying, oh, okay, and then I went upstairs to see them, and da 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 da. So yeah, I love the things that Meip selected for her book. I'm just going to turn the light on because it's getting so dark now I can hardly see anything. Hang on. There we go. Right, I can see things again. Great timing. Sorry, great timing, because I want to do a reading for the book, but I can't do that if I can't see. But yeah, what I really love about this, especially, is that, as I say, Meip doesn't only just paint the good side of people; she paints the bad side, because it's reality. And there's a wonderful bit here that I want to read. It was really unexpected. I didn't anticipate that this was going to be in here, but I love her for writing it. And she's talking about going up to see the family and seeing a side of Anne she'd never seen before. And she goes, on a beautiful hot day in July, sorry, I should have said it's like 1943 at this time, I finished my work early. The office was very quiet, almost sleepy. I decided to pay an unexpected visit to the hiding place. I thought I'd just go upstairs and talk with whoever wanted to chat. Visits made the time go faster for the people in hiding and were always savoured. I climbed the steep steps, and passing Mr. and Mrs. Frank's bedroom, I saw Anne alone over by the curtained window. I went in. The room was dark, and it took a moment for my eyes to adjust, as the office downstairs had been much brighter. Anne was sitting at the old kitchen table beside the window. From her chair she could peek out and look at the big chestnut tree in the gardens and not be seen. I saw that Anne was writing intently and hadn't heard me. I was quite close to her and was able to turn and go when she looked up, surprised, and saw me standing there. In our many encounters over the years, I'd seen Anne, like a chameleon, go from mood to mood, but always with friendliness. She'd never been anything but effusive, admiring, and adoring with me. But I saw a look on her face in that moment that I'd never seen before. It was a look of dark concentration, as if she had a throbbing headache. This look pierced me, and I was speechless. She was suddenly another person there writing at the table. I couldn't say a word. My eyes were locked with Anne's brooding ones. Mrs. Frank must have heard me come in, and I heard her soft step behind me. I could tell from the sound of her voice when she finally spoke that she had summed up the situation. She spoke in German, which she used only when the situation was difficult. Her voice was ironic and yet kind. Yes, Meip, as you know, we have a daughter who writes. At this moment, Anne stood up. She shut her book she was writing in, and, with that look still on her face, she said in a dark voice that I'd also never heard before, "Yes, and I write about you too." She continued to look at me, and I thought I must say something, but all I could say in as dry a tone as I could muster was, "That would be very nice." I turned and went away. I was upset by Anne's dark mood. I knew that more and more her diary had become her life. It was as if it had interrupted an intimate moment in a very, very private friendship. I went back downstairs to the office, feeling distressed and thinking all the rest of the day it wasn't Anne up there. She was so upset by my interruption, it was another person. So, as I said, I really love the fact that she paints the light of Anne and the various other people in hiding in the annex, but at the same time she paints the dark, and it's wonderful because that's so realistic. There were other things in this book that I didn't anticipate, that I'd never even thought of before, to do with those who were hiding people. What would happen if, including her and her husband at their home, she never told the people, those hiding in the annex, that they were hiding somebody else in their home because of the danger. But for those people who were hiding Jews, what happens if the person you're hiding gets sick, which is what Meip encountered? And the other more drastic thing, what do you do if the person you are hiding dies? And she talks about days walking by the canal and the body floating in the water, because they've had to dump the body. They can't leave it on their doorstep, because then that would link the person directly to them. So where else are you going to put them in Amsterdam? And that broke me, and I never ever thought about it. I had to put the book down for a while and just step away, and it never even came to mind. And I love things like that, where you have such a realistic representation of something that happened, and it puts you in a place that you never even thought of. As I said, I can read books, I can watch documentaries and that, but I can never be there and it happened. And Meip suddenly sent me there with that one moment. And it shocked me so much I had to take a step back, and I really felt such a longing to hug her, which may sound a bit odd. And for everybody else who experienced these things, because as somebody who's born way after that, I can see the full, from reading and documentaries now, I can see the full picture of what happened. But for those people who live day by day, not knowing at any second what that something terrible could happen, and you could be picked up and sent away to a concentration camp, you could get killed, and you could starve, you could anything at all, and never knowing when the light was coming. I cannot imagine that. I am floored by the bravery of anybody who lived through that, and especially more so for those who hid people like Meip, and like other people who she talked about, who did such a courageous thing to allow people to live. You were all amazing people. I really wish Meip was alive. I could thank her for writing such an extraordinary, engrossing read, and for painting a reality that I'd never even thought of. She was truly a wonderful, wonderful person. I greatly recommend this. Then when this ended, she talks about her last chapter. Actually talks about her 100th birthday. She's talking about the chestnut tree in the yard that Anne loved, but it was actually, there was this big controversy about it being cut down because it was dying and it could collapse onto the museum and such, and the annex, and what was happening with that. And she talks about how at the moment it's at standstill to do with what's going on, but the chestnut tree has actually been cut down now. So it kind of shows how all this is a bit now. And as I said, Meip has now passed away, but her spirit lives on. She is a true hero, is Meip, for what she did, and this opened my eyes to certain things about her life that I didn't know about, things about her experiences of hiding, which were amazing, you know, trying to get food from other places but get back for the deadline, to be able to get home in time. The curfew, sorry, that's the word, I couldn't think what the word was, not deadline, curfew. Trying to work, trying to be a wife, trying to deal with not being picked up by the Gestapo and everything. How she managed to do it all, I have no idea. She was an extraordinary woman, and I greatly recommend Anne Frank Remembered by Meip and Alison Leslie Gold. So as you know, I absolutely love the Diary of Anne Frank, and if you haven't seen my review of Anne Frank that I did, I can't remember if it was last year, I think it was last, yeah, I think it was last year. I also have a couple of film/TV adaptations I really recommend. The first is The Diary of Anne Frank from the 1950s. This was like the first film of Anne Frank's diary, which is absolutely fantastic. I really, really love that one. And especially this one of Anne Frank. This was from, it's from the early 2000s, I think. Oh, I can't find it, but yeah, I think it was the early 2000s. And this was, Meip was actually part of the team for creating. She was somebody who helped refer to things and develop cinematography, you know, that kind of thing. She was able to give advice and information on this, and she was 96 when this was made, because they referred to her still being alive and such, and living outside of Amsterdam. But this, I absolutely love this. It's so well put together. I really, really strongly recommend this one. So yes, so I strongly recommend those. Of course, Anne's Diary, which I left upstairs in my study, so I wasn't able to show it, but you know what it looks like. And of course, the absolutely extraordinary Anne Frank Remembered. I loved every second reading this. Alright guys, so that's what I thought. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. You can leave me a comment in the comments box below, or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely up to you, let you decide. And as I said, I'll be back in a bit with my video for what my 100th book review will be. Exciting! I'll see you later. Bye!